Good morning, Facebook family and friends and my loyal YouTube subscribers. Today it is Wednesday, March the 9th. In approximately less than 30 days, give or take, I will be 46 years of age. Yay! Yep, I know I don't look 46. I know I look a young, pristine 25, but I am 46 years of age. No, I'm just kidding. I can imagine all the hate mail I'm going to get on that one. So, but anyway, back in the early 90s, I said I was going to do a video a few weeks ago about my experience dating a Jamaican guy. I dated for about a year and a half, well, somewhere in that time frame in the early 90s. I was probably around 19, 20 years of age, and he was approximately maybe 5 to 6 or 7 years older than me. So I was 19, possibly 20 years of age, and he was approximately, I'd have to look on his Facebook page. We were still good friends, or as associates, but didn't end that way at that time. I had never dated a Jamaican before. I didn't know anything about Jamaican culture. I didn't even, this may sound kind of crazy, I didn't even know there were gay Jamaicans. We met in Atlanta. He was in town visiting some friends. Of all places, we met at Lenox Mall. And he was there with some friends, and I was there with some friends, and we just met and kind of, this big black Jamaican guy, and who with this thick accent, who I couldn't understand a word what he was saying. And my friend was like, well, who is that? And his friend was like, who is that? And so it was kind of like this clashing of the friends trying to pull us apart from each other, like, let's keep shopping. And he was just so adamant that we were going to meet and talk and sit, and we did. And that's one thing I like about Jamaican guys, I will say. They're very aggressive. They know what they want. And he knew what he wanted. He wanted to know who I was and wanted to get to know me. Very aggressive. And later on in the relationship, it was his aggression that would become an issue for me personally. Now, again, I didn't know anything. At that point, I was very young. I didn't know anything about Jamaican culture, anything about Jamaicans. I never dealt with any Jamaicans. I had some family members who my cousins have a Jamaican father, and I remember dealing with my uncle occasionally when we would go to New York. But I didn't know anything about Jamaican culture, and I most definitely didn't know that they were so anti-gay. Now, with that said, the guy that I was dating, he was very anti-gay in the fact that he didn't like gay clubs, he didn't like gay environments, he didn't like gay parties or functions. Of course, he was gay, but he just wasn't comfortable in those environments. Now, here I was a young 19, 20-year-old kid who enjoyed the gay environment, the gay clubs, the gay nightclubs, the gay parties, the gay functions. And I like my gay friends. I like participating, hanging out with this stuff. Now, he was living in New York, and I was living in Atlanta. So he would make frequent trips here to Atlanta to visit me. I wasn't really allowed to come to New York to visit him for a variety of reasons, mainly because he had his family members in Jamaica and New York City did not know he was gay. So the few trips I did make to New York, where I did meet his family, very infrequent, small trips. And at one point in the relationship, he wanted me to move to New York. And I wasn't ready to give up Atlanta at that time. So I was loving Atlanta, I was loving the weather, I was loving the city, I was loving being black, gay, and proud and kind of out there in Atlanta. So he would fly into town, and we spend time together. We couldn't really go any place. He didn't want to go to any gay parties or functions or nightclubs or any of that type of stuff. We would basically just be me and him going to restaurants, hanging out, just doing stuff with his friends who lived here in Atlanta who were also gay. But when it came time to want to go out to a club or a party or a function, this was an issue, a serious issue that literally almost came to violence, so to speak, because I was a kid and I was like, well, I'm going to do what I want to do. You don't live here, and when you're not here, I was young and stupid, and I didn't realize that this individual was probably one of the best guys I could have ever had dated in my entire life. And I will admit I messed this situation up because I was young, stupid, and I was doing, and he didn't know anything about the illegal shit I was doing. That was another issue that was soon to be found out later on. So here I was and doing my thing in Atlanta, and he'd show up in town. And he always had questions like, okay, well, when do you go to work? What do you do? Because I told him I was doing interior decorating. So he would see this apartment. I had a beautiful apartment with all this stuff in there, and shoes, clothes, bags, merchandise. And he'd just always be sitting back wondering like, okay, well, how can you afford all this stuff? And why do you buy all this stuff? He didn't know I was getting this shit for free. But he would see all these shoes and clothes and Nike Air Jordans and just a whole bunch of stuff. And he didn't know what was going on. I mean, he didn't know. I didn't tell him. He just thought I was foolish with my money and that I was just buying stupid shit and just doing stupid things with my money. He didn't realize I was out purchasing this stuff illegally with checks and credit cards. So when he was in town, we would spend a great deal of time together. And I was just being with my friends. So when he would show up in Atlanta, I couldn't see my friends because he didn't like these gay folks. He didn't want to be around these sissies. He didn't want to see these homosexuals. He didn't like them. And he thought they had a bad influence over me, which was true. So there was a terrible battle between my friends and him because they would know we were at home and they'd be over there beating on the door like, what are you're not doing? What are you sitting in the house for him for? He's been in for a whole 3 or 4 days. Come on, let's go take care of some business. They want to go make some money. But I couldn't do that because he was in town. So eventually all this was going to come to this huge clash when my friends exposed to him what I was really doing. They weren't going to let that get by. So, but let's talk about Jamaican culture for a minute because they give you the illusion that they're very anti-gay, but there are a lot of gay Jamaicans. I've met a lot of them over the years. Gays are everywhere in every country, on every continent, on every planet, on every planet. We only know of one planet right now, but I'm sure there's some gays out there on other planets too. But right now, we only know on planet Earth, there are gays all over this damn planet, and they're in every country, religion, background, island, they're everywhere. And he was gay, and he would tell me stories about what it was like growing up in Jamaica. He grew up in a very impoverished background. He was very poor. And one side note, because he grew up in such an environment where he was taught to work hard and work hard. I was a hard worker. It was just, I was caught up with something at that point. And right now, he is rich. This man's filthy rich. He has an export-import company, and I don't want to get into details of it, but he's very well off right now. I screwed that up. But there were some issues with us. I was a man. He was a man. And I wasn't ready for somebody to tell me what to do like you were my father. And he would literally pretend as if he was this father figure in my life. Thanks. No, you ain't. So he would pretend as if he was my father in my life and tell me what to do, and I had a problem with that. I had a problem with another grown person telling me what I was going to do, what I was going to wear, what I couldn't do, where I couldn't go, and this became an issue in the relationship because Jamaicans are very inquisitive. And when he found out I was doing those illegal activities, he really became very angry and very aggressive to get me out of Atlanta. He demanded that I move to New York City and live with him and begin. Now, in retrospect, looking back, I kind of wish I had took him up on that offer. Because it wasn't really an offer, it was a demand. That if this relationship is going to continue, you cannot stay here in Atlanta. You must come to New York, and you're going to live with me and help him with whatever he was doing up there in New York. But I wasn't ready to leave Atlanta to go to a cold environment and deal with winters and snow